Clouds TV, empowering lives.
Mambo vipi? Welcome once again, and it's another amazing episode with the one and only your favorite apostle.
Last time you called me a prophet. Bado merudi kule tena kwa Sudisea.
Apostle,
how are you?
Mambo vipi?
I'm good. I'm jovial. And I'm happy to see that God is still revealing, God is still fulfilling what He said through us. I know when you are doing on something and then that which you call that is God that has spoken through you, and it comes to pass, you become happy.
Nice.
Like now, last time, I told you about the by-elections. And I told you now it is no longer the vote, it is spiritual. Now can you listen? How now? Nikakwambia, you will see it. And I think you saw it, what happened to Mbere and what happened to Malaba. Now,
talking about the by-elections, Apostle, you had told us hii by-election Kindiki ataibishwa.
No, I never told you ataibishwa.
Ulisema hii by-election atapelekwa nyumbani ndio ni like is the litmus test for him. Like
if you remember very well, when they urudia vizuri, what I said is that the Mbere and the Malava is a testing ground for three things. A testing ground for IEBC, a testing ground for Ruto, a testing ground for Wamunyoro. So for Ruto, it was he wanted to see whether he still have a share in Mount Kenya. Because it has been said, Mount Kenya has been locked. The chapter is locked. It's Wamunyoro territory. Nobody can trespass there. Now they went 15,000. That is 50%. And that is all what he needs. Ruto needs only 50%. Number two, Ruto is not really prepared for an election, a 2027 election. He was not prepared. And he's not prepared. He was not prepared. He's not prepared. He will not be prepared. And this is the factor that people are not looking at. If you look at the systems, how things are working, like now look at Wamudhende. I don't know whether this thing is in court, but this gentleman, as he is registered in his ID, it is not what is registered at the IEBC. So who approved? Because the change of the name, if now you are called Jackson Peter Kamau, and then you go present Peter Jackson Kamau, that's another person.
That's inconsistency.
These people of the IEBC went on to register a different person from the one that has an ID. And this gentleman went on to vote, and he was not a registered voter in Mbere. He was not a registered voter. And I remember the registration had been called off in places where the voting was supposed to be done. This guy was registered in somewhere in Malindi or Mombasa somewhere. So this guy, I saw him voting, meaning he had been registered. Who registered him in that short period? And why was he registered in that short period? That's number one. Number two, the names that were used are different from the person contesting. That is, this is person A in this name and person B in a different name, though it is the same names but interchanged. So who passed that solution for this man to be approved to go to vote or to be voted for? Now, the people that are working in the IBC, Akina Marijan, and the guy who is now the chairman of the IBC, they are all legal lawyers. You know, to be elected to become an IBC chairman or leader, you must be a person of equivalent of a Supreme Court judge. Is that not true?
Sure.
Yes, you must be an equivalent that you can work at the Supreme Court. They are lawyers. If somebody who has an experience of about 20 years is a top-notch lawyer. How could they not foresee a legal battle? How could they not foresee a legal battle that can challenge their decision? Now, this is what forms an opinion. That's where I form my opinion from. That this was a deliberate move to discredit the IEBC so that Akina Kalonzo now they can start speaking, Kina Martha Karua, that stakeholders must sit down and they renegotiate over the IEBC. And somebody will go to court and demand for the disbandment of IEBC. And the government will take in weak lawyers to go and defend the IEBC so that IEBC can be disbanded. And the moment the IEBC is disbanded, what will happen? We'll have to have a new IEBC. And this is what I'm saying. Ruto will not be prepared for 2027 election. That is a plan. That's maybe could be plan A or plan B or plan C. To make sure IEBC at some time is disbanded or confusion is brought in to make IEBC is disbanded. So Mbeere North was not a contest of who wins, whether it's Wamonyoro or not Wamonyoro. It was a contest between the Ruto circles who are planning to make sure that they have destroyed all the systems that are required from the IEBC. Once they deal with the IEBC to be locked out, meaning we'll have to go back and recruit a new IEBC, meaning there will be no election 2027. That's plan one. Plan B, there's this theory of Wamonyoro is the kingpin of Mount Kenya. And I told you this, that it is a litmus test for the Wamonyoro. How powerful is he? These people, yes, as I've seen from the IEBC portal, the guy Karis have won. Kulingana na Form 34A. Karis, yes, he's a winner. He's the one. At the end of the day, the court will nullify and give Karis the winner. He's going to become the winner. But the question here is, even if Kariuki won, he will win by a margin of maybe 1,000 or 500. Meaning Wamudende got about 14,000 votes. Yeah? Karis will get that 15,000 blah blah something. Meaning, if you go to the concept, when Moi was in power, there is a time a similar situation happened in Kinango. Moi went there with the troop, and everybody went there, and Moi only managed to get 2,000 votes. Out of 56,000 votes, that was either DP or for the city. 56, it was a by-election. But that time, Moi took all the Kenya Power Post there, machineries, tractors there, and when they lost it, they pulled out everything. It was a test. Moi wanted to test whether Central Kenya is with him or not with him. And Central Kenya for sure showed them that nothing. They had only 2,000 votes against 56,000. Now this with Wamonyoro and the Kendeki, that Wamudende probably after the ruling, it will be Karis who will be winning, but Wamonyoro has been tested and has been proved he's not the pillar in Mount Kenya. He's not the key man in Mount Kenya. He's not calling shots. Still, Ruto has a ground. If we go to the election, the way it went, the general election, the way they went to the general election, Ruto will still get a percentage. And that is all Ruto wants. Meaning that Wamonyoro is not the kingpin. He has not reached where there. And I've always told you, Wamonyoro is not yet. He still need to work. He still need to incorporate all other stakeholders. Just as what Uhuru is doing. What you see Uhuru has been working is bringing these people together. He launched his Jubilee. And during the launching of Jubilee, he reprimanded Kioni. Never again to abuse Wamonyoro. Never again to write anything against Wamonyoro. Never again to say anything bad against Wamonyoro. That is a reconciliatory. That is reconciling the Mount Kenya together. So who will emerge? Remember the other day I told you, either DCP or Jubilee, one of the party will be distinguished.
But you say actually DCP will not be in the picture.
Yes, I said DCP will not be in the picture. Because who will call the shot? Remember, when we were doing the general election, Uhuru was busy telling us Ruto is not a good man. He was telling us do not vote for Ruto. Do not vote for this guy. Do not vote for UDA. Wamonyoro said, UDA, Uhuru ni mogoroki, Uhuru ni nini, Uhuru ni nini, Uhuru
ni mlevi.
Go home, ukasema Uhuru ni mlevi, go home, my brother go and let's we show you how to rule this nation. All that he told us about Ruto has come to pass. So the Mount Kenya drifted to the one who spoke to them, who told them this man is not good, and this man has become to be not good. And Wamunyoro himself has come publicly to say, I didn't know this man.
Now I know.
Now I know. So who was right?
He actually said that Uhuru told us, but he wasn't clear on the intensity of RUTO'S,
Yes. So who is right? Is Uhuru. So who is possibly to become a strong kingpin of Mount Kenya? That is one factor. Another factor, because of course Kenya is a tribal nation where it is divided along tribal lines. Most Kikuyus are reasoning now. Had we agreed with Raila, it is a Kikuyu who will be a president now. Had we agreed with Uhuru, right now Martha Karua could be the president. Are you seeing now the picture?
Yeah.
Because, of course, Raila could have died the way he died. Whether by what, Raila could have died. So it's Martha Karua who would be the president. So who was right to bring back leadership to Mount Kenya? It is not Wamunyoro. It is Uhuru Kenyatta. So who is the kingpin of Mount Kenya? It is not Wamunyoro. Chances are people will
lean on Uhuru's side.
Will lean on Uhuru's side. Because Uhuru is much more proved.
But Wamunyoro anapendwa.
Wamunyoro hapendwi. That is the mistake Wamunyoro made.
DCP.
Yes, one term.
It's a ground.
It is about one term. Are you getting me? It is about one term. It is not about Wamunyoro. People are retired. Civil servants, wamekatwa pesa ya housing levy, wamekatwa pesa ya SHA, wamekatwa kila kitu. The common enemy is Kasongo. The common enemy. So whoever that will come to make this common enemy aondoke is a friend to everybody. But when it comes now to settle down after the enemy goes, the one that caused this enemy to go was not loved. They will tell you, sit away, another kugawanya keki. So people do not love Wamunyoro. We admire Wamunyoro for his capability to push Kasongo. We don't care whether he will bring a road. We don't care whether he will bring electricity. We don't care whatever he will go, as long as he removes Kasongo.
Kuna hii saying wanasema, my friend's enemy is our enemy.
Yes, it's our enemy. And this is what is happening to this country. And this is what now the perception that has entered Wamunyoro, because Kikuyus love a person who is jamba. Somebody who is aggressive, somebody who can defend them. It doesn't matter whether you are a devil, whether you are whatever you are, as long as you are bulldozing what they want, you are speaking their language by that time. And normally, remember I told you, Kikuyus don't have kings. They create one for a purpose. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
They create one for a purpose. Once they push you to the level of you negotiating or doing something to deliver, and they fail to deliver, they start moving away from you. The Mbere one was a mistake. It was a trap. And this is something that just naturally worked against Wamunyoro. Because Wamunyoro should have taken it, even if the other guy could have had some votes, could have maybe 3,000, because maybe he's coming from a particular clan, and the clan in Meru area, clans also matter much. But this, it could not have been 15-15. Hata kama ingekuwa na rigging, it could have been 15-15 or 13-13 or 20-20. This is a reflection that Mount Kenya is split right into two. And Wamunyoro is not able to command these people and they persuade them and tell them, now we have to go to one basket. Why? Because one thing Wamunyoro is making mistakes, he's not a team worker. Wamunyoro is a selfish man, a man who works for himself. If you can look at the statements he's making, demanding that if I am support you, I need 30%, I need 40%, I need 70% on this and this and this. He is not an inclusivity person. the power has gotten into him. And he sees that nobody else that can do this
Without
is
his
not
help.
him, not him. Now, what is happening now? What is being worked? What they did when they took some people to eat uhuru goats at this farm in Brookside. And when he came and really became so ruthless, remember when he was the deputy president, he's the one that engineered for old men, the Kikuyu old men who were arrested and taken to Murang'a court. Do you remember that time?
Yeah, nakumbuka.
And then they were called
Mungikis. Yeah.
And then he's the one also who orchestrated the arresting of Maina Jenga. And also he's the one that who orchestrated the removal of the people at Portland. The removal of the people at the Portland area.
Yeah.
This thing was operated from his office. But who told him to do so? He was told from State House by Ruto, go and kill your people. Arrest Maina Jenga. Remember those times Maina was arrested in Banana, arrested somewhere, arrested for apparently no reason. Just to bring that anger. And again, youth groups were arrested in Nyeri and taken to court on basis of being Mungiki members. And again, elders, old people of 80 years, 70 years, also arrested, were arrested in Nyeri. In Nyeri, where he comes from. He never saw this coming. Because what they were trying to do is to remove the credibility. He worked against his own community. Then he is removed from being the deputy president. But people forgot that quickly what was happening. Then they embraced him as the king because of the problem. Kikuyus comes together. When one of them has a problem, they will support you, they will defend you, no matter what you did to them. Because why Kikuyus were rallied behind Ruto during the Uhuru time is because Uhuru was our son,
was being persecuted.
We needed an ally who can help our son from the persecution. So it's not that we loved Ruto, but because he was in a position to help our son, that is how Ruto came into power. Now, the same thing happened to Wamonyoro. But when Wamonyoro became more powerful, that is, people are rallying around him and he has aggressively moved so, which is commendable, which is the man, I can clap for the man. But what is destroying him from inside is a bully. Number two, he's not a team worker. Number three, he is not an institution builder. He is not able to build an institution the way Raila would build an ODM and then have people all over the country. He is not able to build a team. Then he closed his doors too early. When he built the DCP, he closed the doors to very many people. He could have left it open for all other people to be accommodated in it. He's working very hard to make sure DCP is in control of Nyeri, is in control of Murang'a, is in control, and forgetting their other underlying factors. Forgetting that still Uhuru is alive, and Uhuru is able to pull strings. He's forgetting that the Mother Karua is also alive. She also needs some members of parliament. He's also forgetting he's trying to bulldoze Nairobi to become his. But also Kalonzo, he has an MP. He has an MP in Mbakasi Mukuru kwa Jenga huko. The MP for there is a Wiper MP. We have MCAs who are Wiper MCAs. So Kalonzo has a stake here in Nairobi. Matiang'i has also a stake in Nairobi, where you have the Kisis are here. We have who are Kikuyus from Nyeri, from Kiambu, from Murang'a, with the different ideas. That is why he was able to win an MCA seat in Kariobangi. This has, and also winning another MCA seat in Narok. This is the major problem to him, that he is not able to build a teamwork, a broader team to work for him. Why Ruto is smart? Ruto is not smart, but very shrewd. He's a shrewd operator. Ruto, you see now, while they knew we are going to steal the election and make sure Wamudende becomes the MP, and also Manjakau fails, they were also planning to launch a road that goes from Kikuyu land to Luya land. In fact, to Malaba. You see now? They started in Kiambu, not in Nyeri. not in somewhere else, but from Kiambu. And they launched it with pomp and color. Then he said, this is a development that has never been initiated in Kenya, a major program. Meaning, we have had 2 presidents, Kikuyu presidents, who never saw this, who never did this, who was not here for you for this. So that is campaign number 1, discrediting the former leaderships of your community. Number 2, painting a picture that I am here to build this nation. But at the same time, after he launches, he picks some 2 Kikuyus or 3 Kikuyus and tells them to go to court and stop this. So he has deliberately started the road on a Kikuyu land, then he sends Kikuyus to go to court. To go to a court presided by a Kikuyu. To stop the development of the entire nation. Because this road...
How sure are we that they are Kikuyus?
Who?
The people who are stopping you know?
Their names are there. Their names are there. There was no Luo. There was no Kamba. They are Kikuyus. Just go and look at the petitions that were taken to court. They are all Kikuyus. Now you see, Ruto want to develop Kenya because building a dual road up to Malaba to Uganda, it is Kenya, is that you're opening up Kenya. You're opening up Kenya for the Kalenjins. You're opening up Kenya for the Luos, the Luyas, all the people along that road. And now, remember the campaign word, that it has never happened in the history of Kenya. In the history of Kenya, we have had 3 Kikuyu presidents who have never thought of opening the other world, the other Kenya, to be open like the way the Kikuyu president did to the Thika Road. Mm-hmm. Because it was going to Nyeri, because it was going to Kiambu, because it was going to Murang'a. They did huge road, a huge project, because it was heading
But
where?
if that is the case, then don't you think the time where Thika Road was being constructed, the Minister of Transport was Raila Amolo Odinga?
Yes.
He's not a Kikuyu, he's a Luo.
Who was the president?
He's a Kikuyu president.
Yes.
Now,
So
if that blame is shifted to Kikuyus,
yes,
but the initiator, or rather the executive initiator of that Thika Road highway was Raila Odinga.
Raila Odinga was not the initiator. Kibaki was working on a blueprint that was created in 1948. They didn't create any blueprint. It is something that was initiated in 1948. Initiated 1948 when Kibaki was still the minister for planning. No, he was not yet the minister for planning. Those days when the colonial government was there, those roads, the bypasses were initiated those days. They were drawn those days. So Kibaki came and pulled the files and they started a project. They gave it to Raila because they knew Raila is a bulldozer, and Raila was a person, if you give him some few coins, he'll do anything. He will just push. But the State House was working for everything. My point here is not that political, going that political side, is looking at the shrewdness that Ruto is. A shrewd politician, a shrewd businessman, a shrewd religious person who can operate from any angle, who can operate from any sector and make things work. You see, now he came and said 3 presidents were there, they never saw this project. I have come within my 3 years, he said so, within my 3 years, I've been able to do this, and before I finish my first term, this is what I will have done. So he combined Kenyatta time, Kibaki time, and Uhuru time. Yeah. Kibaki and Uhuru is 20 years. Kenyatta time was about 14 years or what? How many years? 15? He ruled for how many years? Kenyatta. Sure for Kenyatta. About 15 around there. If you combine 15 plus the 20, that's 35 years. And him as the president, he needed only 3 years to do what was done for the 35 years. And therefore, he's telling us that he's already the people who blocks development in this nation, it is only one tribe. He's building a narrative for that one tribe but against 42.
How sure are we that it is the president sponsoring the people who are going to the court?
I want to go there now. This is, you have launched a powerful thing. Remember, before launching a road, we have feasibility study. Before launching a road, you must have gone to China, America, Russia, or some other places looking for the money or looking for this partnership. That's called PPP, the public-private partnership. Before you start anything, a project, you must have gone through processes of getting the people to finance the road, getting the people the feasibility study, and in all those areas where the road will go through, there will be a lot of compensations. So public participation was done, meaning this is not something that started yesterday. It didn't start with Ruto. It started with Kenyatta. Maybe it started with Kibaki. So it is a process that takes long time for it to go and to be where it is now. It only happened, it came to pass during his time. So when he launched it, where were these people when the feasibility was being done? These people that are rushing to court. Where were these people when they were looking for the private partners to partner with this road? Where were these people until he announces and is saying that this thing we are doing today, it has never been done for over 60 years. Nobody was there to think about this. Nobody was there. He has done a huge campaign that I am a good man, I have good intentions, I have a good plan, but there are one people somewhere who are hell-bent to stop what I'm doing. This is what specifically he's doing. After launching the Kiambu Road, he goes for a wedding. And he prepares two characters, the Duare and another guy. Duare comes and he narrates the good things Ruto has done. The roads he has built, the SHA, the what, he spoke the good, the achievement of the government. But now come another person, he says, munasema ni 2 term, ni si 2 term. Munasema ni 2 term. Ama ni milele. That was the key word. Ama ni milele. It is not about the 2 term. Ama ni milele. Because he is preparing people psychologically that he can rule you until he dies. Then he goes somewhere else. I don't know whether it was AIC Milimani.
Yeah.
He says, before I die at 90, now he's at 60. Sindio? He's at 60. So he requires some more 20 years.
He said 30 years.
30 years. So that he can make Kenya to become a Singapore.
So before he dies, he wants to see Kenya being the first world country.
The first world. He wants to make it. He wants to push it. He wants to do it. Kenya equate the first world. So he needs a good time. He needs a good seasoning. He needs to be there longer and he asked them to pray for me so that I can get to this. So that the project I've initiated ziweze kukamilika. So I need 20 years, I need 30 years. So psychologically what we've been done, they have prepared us. He's preparing us. What he's doing is that, I don't know whether it is a story that was done by our elders about a frog. If you remove a frog from cold water, you drop it in the hot water, it dies immediately. But if you condition the same frog to adaptability, that this, you remove this frog, you put the frog in cold water, then start warming the water. The frog will not die quickly. It will die slowly because it will not understand, it will not know that this guy is planning to kill you. Because it will go on, it will procedurally be adapting to the new conditions until the water becomes too hot for it to survive and it dies. What Ruto and the team now are working is to condition us into acceptability. Number two, what happened in Panyako's place and Wamudende's place, you could see it was deliberate. Tutafanya hivi, mutadu. Did you see that? Because what was seen in Form 34A is not what is in the screen. What is in the screen is completely something different. What will happen in the stream, something stream, naona kulikuwa na 187 zilitolewa, 120 zilitolewa. Karis was ahead, one direction, but they went and announced it. And if you saw in where the announcement was done, police were more. Kwanza heavyweights, not just ordinary police, senior police officers, all of them were in that hall and it was announced. Ukiangalia screen unaona mwenye alifeed deliberately. Angalia Panyako, what happened to Panyako? Panyako had to surrender. Before the election, he told you, Wakalenjin, chukueni.
Actually, Wanandi wachukue.
Wanandi wachukue. Sitaki, whatever is happening, sitaki. What had happened? This Rivondo had taken people there. They did dirty jobs there. A lot of dirty things there. And this was done openly in the day. I saw one guy who was captured there. And he said, who has sent them? Again, these people were traveling on buses to go and do the mayhem. On buses. Nobody was questioning them. What was the indication? These guys are used those 2 by-elections to tell Kenyans, we are going to steal. Mutadu. Do what you think you can be able to do. This is the same script that we saw in Tanzania. This is the same script that is being prepared in Uganda. You can see, if you listen to Samia's statements, you can read a lot of Ruto in those statements. A lot of statements you can read. You can read, this is a version of Kasongo. This is a version of Kasongo. If you hear what she's saying, the appointment she did, appointment anachagua daughter yake, anachagua son-in-law, anachagua cousin to become ministers. And then Mutadu, do what you think you can be able to do. I'm in control. Then she goes on to blame foreigners. The same script that Ruto did when he was in shit, he went to blame this Ford Foundation that is funding the Gen Z. It is what. The same script you saw in Tanzania. The same script you saw in Uko, kwa Mudende, na Uko kwa Panyako. You can see now, you can imagine what we are being conditioned to. And then we have an IEBC that registers a person and approves a person to go into election by breaking law. Then Mutadu. And this is a condition that we are going to rig this election and we are going to be in power as much as we want. Mutadu.
So what is Ruto's endgame with the IEBC?
Sorry?
What is Ruto's plan with the IEBC?
The Ruto's plan with the IEBC is 2. Look at what they procured for the equipment. They didn't went through the procedures. They just did it. You don't know who was given the procurement and how it went. It was not announced. It was not gazetted. Nothing happened. Mutadu. This is number 1. They knew you would go to court. So there are 2 things they want to do. If you go to court because you will be asking for the disbandment of IBC because they have broken the law, they will not oppose it. They will allow it to go as that. And then the disbursement of IBC will be done to stop the election. Who will have stopped the election? It is Kalonzo. Who will have stopped the election? It is Wamunyoro. Because it is Wamunyoros who are going to support the lawyers who will stop the election. Then he will say, it is your people. Just as you saw when he launched the program, the road from Kiambu to Malava, the same people have told you the Kikuyus went to court. So you will not accuse Ruto that he failed to build a road for you. And maybe there is no even the plan of building that road because I don't think there's a plan to build that road. It was just a gimmick because he wanted to make people understand who are stopping lawyers from accessing a dual carriageway. Who are stopping the entire nation from getting into development of this nation? Who are stopping Nakuru from development? Who are stopping Eldoret from development? Who are stopping Siaya from development? Are the people from Mount Kenya. And these are the people who are moving around with nothing but one term. You see, now you go to Garissa, you find another character now saying, because it is Mirele, Amani Mirele.
That was the Ijara MP.
Ijara MP, Amani Mirele. That, and you see, Nanid never touched on 1 term or 2 term. Duale never touched on 1 term or 2 term. He touched on development. The government of Ruto, what they have done, what they have achieved in 3 years. So that is a political plan, a political shrewdness. That one part they are killing, the other part they are soothing. So that is the kind of the scenario that you're going to expect in 2027. But another one that might be bad, And this is what now they are working on. If you look at them, remember what he said. Huyu mzee nitampeleka Bondo. Ile kazi moja nimebakia tu ni kupeleka huyu mzee Bondo na hata jua venye atafika Bondo. Is the man in Bondo? Is Baba in Bondo?
Yes, he is.
Yes, settling. Na alijua akienda Bondo? Alijua.
Okay, what are you
know?
trying to say?
I'm asking you.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say what he said. That ile kazi moja nimebakisha hapa.
Maybe he meant that perhaps you'll just finish. Maybe you'll just. He was urging Raila to go on retirement.
Whatever the prophetic word, how it came, how it germinated, germinated the way he prophesied. He did nothing. He did. I don't want to insinuate that he killed or he did anything, but the prophetic word from his mouth, and that's why I'm cautioning you guys from underestimating Ruto. Whatever he's saying, akiona Singapore anaiona. This man is not. He operates from spiritual world. He is seeing a Singapore. He's not. Si mlevi, huyu jamaa kunywangi pombe, avutangi sigara, anaelewa kile anasema. When people are operating from spiritual realms, they see things you don't see. And it doesn't matter whether you're acting for the devil or you're acting for God. As long as you're operating in a spiritual realm, there are things you will see other people are not seeing. And that is Ruto. When he came with a wheelbarrow, he saw a wheelbarrow taking him to State House. Against all odds, against the system, against Matiang'i, against Raila, against Uhuru, he saw himself in State House and he made it. He went there. Why? This man is a spiritual man. He understands the concept of the spiritualism. He understands the concept of how things are done. He understands that you can go give your sacrifices in churches, in mosques, and also to the traditionalists and galvanize the nation behind you. Build an altar that will pull the entire nation towards you. And that's what he did. Number two, look at the events. Now he took Nani Ako, as he prophesied, Raila is in Bondo. If you look at who else can be a challenger to Ruto, the main challenger is not Wamunyoro. The person who can challenge Ruto and organize this nation to come together against Ruto, it is Uhuru Kenyatta. It's Uhuru Kenyatta. He's the kingpin, not only for the Kikuyus, a kingpin that Luos will listen to him, a kingpin that Luyas will listen to him, a kingpin that even the coast people will listen to him. Because this is one man that is well financed, the man that is has a track record. He's a man who is charismatic, a man who can come and command a respect in whatever situation. Now look here. This man, he went when we were launching Jubilee and he was launching Matiang'i to be the presidential candidate for the Jubilee. He told Kioni, I don't want to see you again abusing Wamunyoro. That was a political tactic. To disarm Wamunyoro was to show respect to him. Yes, you did this to me. Yes, you dethroned me. Yes, you abused me. Yes, you ate my goats. Yes, you did this. But I will respect you because I believe you are a leader. I believe you are a leader. He completely disarmed Wamunyoro. Now he will have a chance to build his own territory. And to build his own territory, they have a candidate in the name of Kalonzo. That is the candidate. Ngoja. They have a candidate in the name of Kalonzo. Kalonzo, remember there's a time I told you we are going to have a Kibaki moment. The Kibaki Tosha moment will come. The Kalonzo, what they are doing now, they are looking at building kingpins on various places. We have, you see, look at Kalonzo, where the by-elections were in Kalonzo area. Kalonzo won all of them.
Yeah.
Where the by-elections were in Matiang'i area, Matiang'i won all of them. Are you seeing now? Seeing the picture? Is now that is what you call building kingpins around tribal line. Now you catch the Kisis, you catch the Akambas, and Wamunyoro was also part of that strategic plan of the kingpins that he was expected to deliver Mbeere North. Now he was not able to deliver Mbeere North, meaning he is not that keen that we thought he is. Mm-hmm. He is not that powerful that we thought he is. Meaning, what will happen? Doubts now are coming. Mm-hmm. The Kiambu people will see, this guy cannot be able to deliver. Mm-hmm. Politicians who are skeptical, they will see this guy cannot be able to deliver 100%. So business people, business community people, like the Kikuyu business community people, they will not want to be seen fully supporting Wamunyoro because he has failed to deliver. Mm-hmm. Because for them it's about interest. They will not want to be where the Ruto government can either monitor you and see you as the one who was financing something that failed. They want to be sure 100% what we are financing will come to win, because they are also protecting their interests. They will not want to finance somebody who will fail. Then the one you are financing against becomes to power, and then he deals with you. So this is what will make Wamunyoro go down, because the trust and the credibility and the belief we had in Wamunyoro, it seems it is not that. If you cannot be able to deliver, so what will happen? The Meru people will go towards, some will go to Kindiki and some will go to where? To Wamunyoro. Therefore, meaning we'll have two kings in Mount Kenya. One that is legitimate and the one that is illegitimate. The one that belongs to the government and the one that belongs to the people. Meaning now, the one that belongs to the government, he will have his own say. And the one that belongs to his people has his own say. Meaning now, if Ruto comes in and brings these communities together, goes to Muranga, gets the leadership from Muranga, goes to Nyeri, gets the leadership from Nyeri, goes to Meru, because Kiraito Murungi will listen much easier to Uhuru than to Wamunyoro. The older generation of politicians who are still influential on the ground, you will easily listen to a more open Uhuru than a more enclosed Wamunyoro. Okay. Meaning the Kikuyus will shift from Wamunyoro to Uhuru, because Uhuru will play as a kingpin of the nation, not a kingpin of the Kikuyus.
All right.
Are you seeing now? Uhuru will operate as a kingpin of the nation. And that is why he used the platform of Raila's death to woo the nation towards him. He gave a powerful speech at Nyayo Stadium. He went to the grave where Raila akaenda kazika, akarusha mpaka pete yake huko ndani, kisha akakuja the following day, he was there at the grave. What was he doing? He was doing the psychological, the emotions. He was emotional emotional control damage. And this emotional control, he was catching the Luos to be comfortable with him. He was catching the Luyas to be comfortable with him. He was catching the Somalis and the Coast people to be closer and to be comfortable with him. Unlike Wamunyoro, who is competent. And this one about Wamunyoro being competent, it is something that is generated into him, geared into, pushed into him, forced into him, so that he will be more and more competent for the people of Kenya to fear him. So, as I told you, Kalonzo being the candidate of Uhuru, and being the candidate of the Western nation, the America, Britain, because they want a sober. Even China, they want somebody who is trustworthy, who is sober, who is controllable, who is more diplomatic. Remember, Kalonzo has always been diplomatic, and he's been an ambassador, he's been a minister for foreign affairs. He's the one that sent him to many places. He negotiated for the peace of Sudan, he negotiated for the peace of Rwanda, he negotiated for the peace of Angola. He has been all over negotiating for peace. He's someone who is seen as a model person. For any businessman who want to have Kalonzo in power. Not our Wamunyoro. Okay. Wamunyoro could be more dangerous than Ruto. And remember these two people, the Wamunyoro and the Ruto, are all children of Daniel Arap Moi. Are you getting me? Now they have Gideon on board. And they have Lee Kenyanjui on board. You can see now that is a family.
It's a family affair.
It's a family affair. Now, let's keep that apart. The whole thing of now Kalonzo being seen as the source of power, the source of Uhuru trusting him, everybody trusting the foreigners, the diplomatic corps trusting him, the international community trusting him. He will be pushed, and that's the only threat that Ruto has. One threat has gone. He said, ilikuwa wapi? Ilikuwa kwa Wajaluo ama kwa Waluya. Kuna mahali alisema nao, shida ile tulikuwa nayo ya Raila sasa imetuondokea, imeondoka. He has done that. Now he will be working to see Kalonzo does not become president. How does he do? What will he do? He will not touch Kalonzo. He will go for Matiang'i. He will go for Wamunyoro. He's done with Wamunyoro now. He will go with Natembea. He will go to, and of course there's rumors that this guy was bribed Wamalwa. I'm not sure. I don't know whether it's true or not true. He will go to any person who can become a pillar of Kalonzo. Then, while doing this, in Kalonzo's backyard, he will use some of the men that are trusted in Kalonzo to betray him. Why? This is also comes up. When I told you about Kalonzo could be the next president if he sorts the challenges from Ukambani. The hindrances that have always hindered him to become the president that are from Ukambani. People will be generated, and these people will betray him. So he will work with the Kamba community to betray Kalonzo, while removing all the pillars from him and destroying the pillars, so that he will remain himself, and he will be able to have so many members of parliament, because he's working for the members of parliament, to have so many members of parliament for the constitution to be changed, to have a live president.
I'm trying to connect all these things you're saying.
Yeah.
Now,
are you seeing sense?
Yeah, kuna vitu najaribu tu, just clarifications. If at all is the main, Kalonzo is the main threat. What about if he's being supported by Uhuru? What about Matiang'i? Why is Matiang'i?
What the politics of this nation? Remember, we had Kenya Kwanza government. Kenya Kwanza is a coalition of Ruto, of Mudavadi, of ANC, and for the Kenya, and this Mutua's chapter. They are political amalgamation of political parties that came together to form. And these political amalgamations came together, were fronted by people who are seen like they are kingpins. Like Mutua became like a kingpin of Machakos. Bungoma, that was who? That was for the Kenya. And the other bigger part of the Luya land was Mudavadi, and some other parts that they had some different people. What Kenyatta is doing right now is to build the stature of Matiang'i, to build the stature of Wamunyoro, to build the stature of somebody from the Maasai land, from the coast, so that these people will come together and support one of them. And one of them will be Kalonzo, because he has an international stature and a national stature, and he is being accepted by everybody in Kenya as a man that is peaceful. And this, you can look at these people when they're doing their campaign, they are portraying Ruto as an arrogant person, a person who is ule mtu wa kupush na nguvu, ni mtu ambaye haambiliki, haambiwi na hasemeseki. Yani ni mtu ambaye his own world, he does whatever he wants to do. This is the picture that is painted on Ruto, and this is a picture also Ruto is trying to change the narrative, that I have always tried to work, I have always tried to help you, I've always tried to do things, but there is one people or several kind of a group people that has always stopped me from doing this. I would have wanted Kenya to be a world
like Singapore.
Singapore. I would have wanted this road to be. I would have wanted to build an airport. I would have wanted to do this. But look, the courts have stopped me. Who is the head of the court? Is Martha Koome. Who have gone to court are these people. Who are the lawyers going to court are these people. So these people have stopped me from becoming. So he's trying to paint a picture of I am a good man, but I'm surrounded by people who are not good. Therefore, again, you look at Kalonzo, he is the one everybody is looking at, and everybody is talking about Kalonzo, of which even the heavens are backing Kalonzo. But even if you are backed by the heavens, still an enemy can get into you and stop you from becoming. So this is one thing that should worry Kalonzo so much so that he needs to have a good team to propel him. Build a team and let maybe, if it's possible, we have a team, a technocrat team that will be managed not from the Wipers office, from an office, independent office, the way we had Uhuru having an office at Chancery, while he had political office somewhere, Jubilee office working somewhere. But the management of his campaign was not managed from the Jubilee's office, was managed from Chancery, the private office, where they worked from private things. This is the only what can make Kalonzo become, and a team that will propel him like as a nationalist, a person who does not have the tribal tags or this. Then other Matiangis, Wamunyoros will be built around him to bring him up, become a nationalist that a Luo can trust, a Luya can trust, Kalenjin can trust, anybody can trust them, so that he will be able to cut across the politics of Kenya, the tribe, every tribe will be on board, and we have Kenya one Kenya united, and the united under the presidency of Kalonzo. And this is what is worrying Ruto, because Ruto, he knows this man can bring him down. So Ruto is very shrewd. Ruto, and I told you last time that the politics that we are heading to is politics of altars. It is not the politics of votes. It is not the votes that will determine. You can see what happened in Malava. You can see what happened in Mbere. That it is not the votes that determined. It is the altars. You see what Panyako was shouting. That was a madman. That was a totally confused man. A man who cannot tell you what happened to him. And he started shouting, Wanandi wachukue. Huku kwa Waluya, kuna Wanandi.
But
what were they taking?
Basically, he was maybe trying to reflect maybe his rivals are from that side.
But you have your community, you speak to your community, you speak your language to the community, and you convince your people, and you become calm because you are looking for the votes.
Because he even wrote on Facebook and said, he even accused the president of attempting to kill him. And it's alleged that the president is from the Nandi community.
Yes, it's the Nandi community. You don't now go shouting that the president wants to kill me and the president is not appearing. You see, the president never appeared anywhere in this by-election. He never even mentioned anything during the by-election. The campaigns, he was completely out. And even some bloggers came and said, Ruto has left people on their own. You also commented on that they are on their own. But this man is a shrewd politician. He went underground. Coming out, he came with a result. He knew I'm going to lose, whether they like it, because he didn't want to be seen. He campaigned, and then he rigged. He worked from afar, aloof, and he made sure that he won. He was not interested with the MCS. He was interested with which you are talking more, the MPs and the senator, and he won them all. Now, because he wanted to deflate Wamunyoro. Now Wamunyoro is not even able to come out. He's not even talking. The aggressiveness that Wamunyoro had, he doesn't have them now. The combativeness that he had cannot be able to do so because he has been depleted.
Now, Apostle, tukimalizia na hii swali ya mwisho. What is the next for the opposition? Now that, the better outcomes, or rather the by-elections, didn't go as planned by the opposition side. Especially in
whether there is element of rigging or no rigging, the opposition has gone down 20%.
How?
And the government has risen up 20%. The confidence that was with Wamunyoro, the confidence that was with Natembea, the confidence with the Akina Matiang'i and the team, the opposition, the united opposition, has been depleted. Now, the person Kalonzo was really trusting to have him as a man who will deliver the Kikuyus, he is not able to deliver. The person that Akina Matiang'i were fearing that this man is really commanding the Kikuyu community, he was not able. He was aliwachwa uchi.
Once Wamunyoro comes on board, he promises to deliver 6 million votes.
Yes.
There are 6 million votes behind him.
Yeah. Then you are given a constituency to deliver 30,000. You are not able to deliver 30,000, you delivered 15. And the other side also took 15. How can I trust you anymore? How can I bank on you? I'll bank on you on your 15 and also no go for the other person for the other 15. The king is naked. The king is naked.
Omnyoro alisema atakimbiza the president kama baiskeli ya kuibiwa.
Sasa angalia, ako na kiti ya mbele. He might have won all the MCAs, but there is one factor ile ambayo tulikuwa tunaangalia sana. And then it is na huko Meru. Yeah. The Mbere people, you are not able to command. And this is all what they have always wanted. To have Mount Kenya East and Mount Kenya West separated from each other. Once you separate,
and it's working.
And it has worked. And it has worked. Why has it worked? There was no organizational capacity. There was no strategic plan. For them, it's about one term. Yes, one term. And then you see the government brought into them, perhaps I think this is the work of the NSIS, that they build Wamudende using Wamunyoro. And when you find everybody talking about something, everybody's talking about it, it sinks to the heads of the people. And maybe 20% of the people who voted for Wamudende, they voted for him because he had become a subject, a subject of discussion. In the social media, Wamudende.
He actually even confessed that he was now the most talked person.
He was the most talked out person. So many people voted for him because they made him a hero. You see, so some places Wamunyoro didn't have a strategic plan to understand or to do politics. He could be a mobilizer, but he doesn't know to do politics. He doesn't know how to do politics because they could have diminished the name Wamudende and they built the name Karisi. Instead, they branded Wamudende instead of branding Karisi. So Karisi was left branding himself, and even Karisi was branding Wamudende. Everywhere they went, was speaking Wamudende. Remember, they did know also Moses Kuria had planted his own party that took 2,000 votes. And these 2,000 votes could have gone to Kadis.
Now, I'm getting you, Apostle.
Yes.
Now, just on that point, what's now their end game? Or rather, what should the opposition do? Is this their end?
It could be their end or their beginning, because now they can go back to the boardroom and they have now a team. Wamunyoro now has swallowed his pride. He will be able to sit down with other leaders and plan as leaders.
The man anaweza shikika.
Hange shikika. He was calling people to go and see him in his home in Nyeri. You travel all the way from here to Nyeri to go and see. They were asking him now, come let's build an office from Nairobi. He could not, because he wanted to brand himself from Wamunyoro. And then we could listen to that. Go and look for the people who are very vocal during his starting. This lady MP from Laikipia. Keti Waruguru.
Yeah.
And many other people who were in the Wamunyoro side. Do you see them now being very vocal? The Major Dong, do you see them very vocal? They are not very vocal, but they were good friends. They are not speaking as much as they could have said. This guy who want to become the Gakuya. Do you see him? Bazenga. Do you see him today a lot with Wamunyoro? There are places, yes, you want to be associated with him, because if you get away from the fire, you might be cold. So what they keep the distance. They keep walking with you, but from a distance, because they have seen you are not a team player. Wamunyoro is not a team player. He's an administrator, trained administrator. Administrators, they don't work as team players. Just like Natembea, he's not a team player. He's an administrator. They use the power they think they have to intimidate people, just as they were doing when they were DOs, when they were special branches, because both of them, they were special branches. They're the ones who used to operate from Nyayo House and Nyati House. So that thing, the special DO that was Wamunyoro, and the special administrator that was Natembea, you can see what they have. They are an intelligence consumer. They consume raw intelligence, because the people in the intelligence, the people in the police, the people in the army, most of them, they got to power through them. So they are still loyal to them. So they know how to consume intelligence, but they don't know how to do politics, to do political operations. They know how to push things to work using force, but they don't know how to persuade things to work. They know how to scatter people, but they don't know how to work as a team, because the mentality that is in them is an administrator mentality. And an administrator mentality is that which you use law to subject people into it and follow it. But in politics, you have to chase a game. Your enemy that was yesterday, unacheza game next, the way Uhuru is doing now. Uhuru knows what the painful road that Mwamunyoro took them through. But he is able to go down and bring these people together. The person now to watch, there are two people to watch in this country from now mpaka 2027. In fact, there are three people. One is Uhuru Kenyatta. Is a person that we must watch. I don't want to call him a kingpin, as a man to watch, because he is capable of bringing all politicians together, including Ruto. He can bring him on board. Uhuru can do that. Number two, the one that will carry major say in Luoland, it is not Oburu, nor Winnie Odinga. It will be Mama Ida. Mama Ida will be able to pull strings. Okay. And if you can look at her, she has not gone the Oburu way. She has not gone, and she's not interested in a national party, where ODM that is national. She will be interested in galvanizing the Luo votes together and the Luo people together. Who is she going to use? She will use Orengo. And this is the time for Orengo now to rise. In the absence of Raila, the most senior-most member of parliament or politician in the Luo land is Orengo. Yeah. Orengo will be able to bring together Kidero. Orengo will bring together all those people who were fought, who were thrown out during when Raila was leader. And these people are moneyed. People like Kidero is moneyed. People, when you see Kidero had a candidate in Kasipul. He had number 2 was Kidero's candidate. He was testing waters. These people will form a formation in Luo land that will birth a new direction. And they will be supported by Ida. They will not be supported by Uburu. Uburu is a sellout. People like, before the end of this year, there will be something that will be launched by Orengo in Nyanza, in Luo land. They will do. And most politicians like the SG, Sifuna, people like Babu, people like many people, the politicians like Nyang' Nyong'o, they will launch themselves. Before the end of this year, they will launch themselves. And then they will project themselves. If you don't talk to us, you are not going to get the Luo land. They are going to get out of ODM cocoon and build a new outfit, which is in ODM, but not a national ODM. An ODM that is of Luo outfit. Yes.
Now, so you say that the two people, that is Ida Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta.
Those are the main characters. And then they will have their lieutenants. They will have the people like Orengo. They will have people like Natembea. Wamarwa will be in. And most likely, and watch this keenly, most likely, the speaker. Wetangula. Wetangula is an opportunist. Wetangula will move where the alliance will be strong. That is where Wetangula will go. Mudavadi is only told, move. And he moves.
Now, Apostle.
Yes, sir.
Maybe ujumbe kwa mashabiki wako.
Nataka niwaambie tu brace for tough times politically. They're brave for political betrayals as we move forward. And there is an angle that we need to pray against. I can see bloodshed as we get towards the election. Huge bloodshed.
Okay. Mwaka unakaribia kuisha. We're already in the month of December.
Yes.
Any prophetic word as usual for the next year, 2026?
Yeah. Next year will be a very energetic year. But so many people will cry. So many people will cry because it is now where the government will abandon its people, go full throttle to do the campaigns and to dismantle these politicians. Many politicians will go to hospital. Many politicians will go to hospital because they will be sick. Artificially, they will be sick. And assassinations will come up. And betrayals will come up. The courts of Kenya will be so busy on political cases. They'll be so busy. And karaoke. The karaoke of Mbere will be the MP for Mbere. At some point, he will be the MP for Mbere.
Today is on 2nd December.
Yes.
On Tuesday.
Yes.
2025.
Yes.
2026, we should be here back. Tumerudi.
I'm sure before the end of the year, we will do another show with you, confirming some few things.
Wow, Apostle.
I'm based at Coffee Plaza. Coffee Plaza, it is along Haile Selassie Avenue, opposite where we have the Easy Coach buses near railway station. I'm based on mezzanine floor. You can come visit me. You have my number, 0722 239 555. 0722 239 555 or 0112 935 035. 0112 935 035. You can also get us at Bethel Clouds TV, that's on YouTube, and also Ndura TV, that's also on YouTube. I'm there. You can engage me for a discussion, prophetic word, for prayers, and also come to church. That is where you are. And I'll be happy to see you on Sunday.
Thank you, Apostle.
Thank you. Welcome.
Bethel Clouds TV, empowering lives.